Hi. It's a little old lady from Pasadena. Oh my God.
Behind the sparkle of rhinestones and the glow of stage lights lay a darker side of country music, one fueled by hidden bottles, endless nights, and voices worn down by more than just the passage of time. Some country legends could handle their drinks and keep it together, while others fell deep into their own struggles. But did they ever overcome them? From smoky honky-tonk bars to the grand stages of Nashville, let's look at 20 country icons who got lost in the world of whiskey. Number 1, Ira Louvin.
Sometimes he would say,
Ira Louvin was one half of the legendary Louvin brothers, a duo whose haunting harmonies helped shape the sound of early country and gospel music. Born in Section, Alabama, Ira and his brother Charlie were raised on church hymns and old-time mountain songs. Their music often carried strong moral messages, warnings about sin and the consequences of straying from faith. But the irony was heartbreaking. Ira's own life was filled with the very demons his songs cautioned against. Off stage, Ira Louvin battled severe alcoholism and a violent temper that became infamous in country circles. When drunk, his outbursts could be explosive, smashing his mandolin on stage, fighting with his brother, and lashing out at those closest to him. His marriages were turbulent, none more so than his third, which ended in near tragedy when his wife shot him 6 times after he attacked her. Miraculously, he survived. By the early 1960s, his drinking had torn apart not only his personal life, but also the Louvin brothers themselves. The duo split in 1963, ending one of the most influential partnerships in country music. In a tragic twist, Ira Louvin was killed in 1965 in a car accident caused by a drunk driver, even though Ira himself was sober that day. Number 2, Hank Williams Sr. Hank Williams Sr. wasn't just a country singer, he was the soul of the genre. Known as the king of country music and the hillbilly Shakespeare, Hank had a gift for turning heartbreak into poetry. Songs like Your Cheatin' Heart, Hey Good Lookin', and I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry captured raw emotion in a way no one had before. But behind the music was a man in constant pain, both physical and emotional. Hank was born with a spinal condition called splena bifida occulta, which caused him severe back pain throughout his life. To cope, he turned to alcohol and later painkillers. As fame found him, so did trouble. His drinking became unpredictable. Sometimes he'd show up to a show drunk, other times not at all. The same voice that made him a legend was now being drowned by addiction. By 1952, his drinking had gotten so bad that the Grand Ole Opry, the most prestigious stage in country music, let him go. It was a devastating blow. His health collapsed soon after, and his dependence on alcohol and morphine deepened. On New Year's Day, 1953, while traveling to a concert in West Virginia, Hank Williams died in the backseat of his car. He was just 29. Hank's voice may have been silenced early, but his songs became timeless, shaping country music for generations to come. Number 3, Keith Whitley.
But I think she lives and works in the Austin area.
Keith Whitley's voice had a haunting beauty, soft, honest, and full of pain. He seemed born to sing country music, and even though his career was short, his songs left a mark that still echoes through Nashville today. Born in Ashland, Kentucky, and raised in a small town called Sandy Hook, Whitley started out young, singing bluegrass with Ralph Stanley's band. His talent was undeniable, and by the mid-'80s, he was in Nashville, chasing a solo career. In 1988, he broke through with Don't Close Your Eyes, When You Say Nothing at All, and I'm No Stranger to the Rain, 3 songs that turned him into a rising star. But behind those hits was a lifelong battle with alcohol. Keith had struggled with drinking since his teens, and even as success found him, the addiction followed. He tried to stop more than once, and for a while, it seemed like he had. His wife, singer Lori Morgan, said he'd been sober for a few days before that tragic morning in May 1989. While home alone, Keith started drinking again. By the time anyone found him, it was too late. The coroner's report showed an alcohol level equal to about 20 shots of whiskey. He was just 34 years old. Number 4, George Jones.
they need to find their own identity.
George Jones was country music in its rawest form, honest, emotional, and heartbreakingly real. His voice could move from soft sorrow to pure pain in a single line, earning him the nickname The Possum, and a reputation as one of the greatest singers the genre has ever known. But behind that unforgettable voice was a man fighting a brutal, lifelong battle with alcohol. Jones's drinking began early and quickly took control of his life. Friends and fellow musicians described how alcohol turned his charm into chaos. His addiction became so severe that it nearly destroyed his career. He missed countless shows. Fans even joked that buying a ticket to see George Jones was a gamble. His label once promoted his rare appearances as No-Show Jones. At the height of his drinking, Jones's behavior became unpredictable. He once rode a lawnmower 8 miles to a liquor store after his wife hid his car keys. It was both a funny and tragic picture of how far addiction had taken him. Through it all, his voice remained powerful, but his life was falling apart. In the 80s, with help from his wife Nancy, Jones finally got sober. He credited her love and faith for saving him. In his later years, he sang about redemption and grace, proving that even the most broken voices can still sing the truth. Number 5. Glen Campbell. Glen Campbell was one of country music's biggest stars. In the 60s and 70s, his smooth voice and guitar skills made him a household name. He hosted the Glen Campbell Good Time Hour on CBS, released more than 60 albums, and sold over 45 million records worldwide. But behind his talent and success, Glen fought a battle that fame couldn't fix: his struggle with alcohol and substances. Those close to him said he was a warm, funny, and generous man when sober, but alcohol brought out a completely different side. His wife, Kim, once shared that his drinking could make him angry and unpredictable. In one frightening moment, he even pulled a gun on her while drunk. In 2003, his addiction made national headlines when he was arrested for drunk driving and charged with assaulting a police officer. At first, Glen downplayed the incident, saying he'd just been overserved. But when his wife recorded and played back his drunken outbursts, he finally faced the truth and decided to get help. Those who loved him always made one thing clear: Glen Campbell's worst moments weren't truly him. It was the addiction talking. When sober, he was kind, loving, and deeply talented. Number 6. Mindy McCready.
When things started getting bad, and it was really with the relationship that I was in with the father of my son,
Mindy McCready was once one of country music's brightest rising stars. Her debut album, 10,000 Angels, went double platinum in 1996, and for a moment, she seemed unstoppable. Her voice was full of promise, and her songs connected deeply with fans. But behind the spotlight, Mindy was fighting a battle few could see, one that would eventually take everything from her. Throughout her adult life, Mindy struggled with addiction to alcohol and prescription pills. Her troubles became public through a series of arrests and rehab stays. In 2004, she was convicted of fraudulently obtaining painkillers, followed by a DUI arrest a year later. She tried to get clean several times, even appearing on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. For a while, it seemed she might turn her life around, but the struggle never truly left her. In 2013, tragedy struck again when her boyfriend, David Wilson, died by suicide. The loss sent Mindy into a devastating relapse. Her family reported heavy drinking and prescription pill abuse, and not long after, she was ordered into treatment. That same year, Mindy McCready took her own life at just 37 years old. Number 7. Billy Joe Shaver. Billy Joe Shaver was one of country music's true originals, a poet of the outlaw movement, and a man whose songs captured the rough, honest spirit of American life. His words were sung by legends like Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson. Even Bob Dylan once praised him as one of the finest songwriters of his generation. But behind the music was a man who lived every lyric he wrote. Billy Joe was known for his hard-living ways, long nights, and constant battles with alcohol and substances. His life mirrored the outlaw image he helped define. For years, addiction was part of his story until something changed. In the 1980s, Shaver experienced a deep spiritual awakening that completely turned his life around. He gave up drinking and pills overnight and leaned heavily on his faith. From then on, sobriety and spirituality became guiding forces in his life and music. By the time of his later interviews, Shaver had been sober for decades, but his past still left deep scars. His son, Eddie Shaver, also a talented musician, lost his life to a heroin overdose in 2000. That loss broke Billy Joe's heart, yet he found strength through his faith and the support of friends like Willie Nelson. Number 8. Johnny Cash.
And after going back 2 or 3, 4 times over a period of 6 months,
Johnny Cash was more than a country singer. He was a voice of struggle, faith, and redemption. With his deep, steady tone and black attire, he became known as the Man in Black, a symbol for the poor, the broken, and the forgotten. His songs carried the weight of real life, sorrow, sin, and the search for grace, and they spoke to millions who saw themselves in his words. But behind that powerful voice was a man fighting his own battles. Cash began using amphetamines and barbiturates in the late 1950s, and soon his addiction to alcohol and pills consumed much of his life. The problem grew so severe that in 1965 he was banned from the Grand Ole Opry after performing drunk and smashing stage lights in a fit of rage. Everything began to change when June Carter came into his life. Her love and faith gave him the strength to face his demons and start over. With her help, he found periods of sobriety and redemption, though relapses followed him into the 80s. By 1992, Johnny Cash finally found lasting sobriety, and in his later years, his music reflected that peace. His voice grew softer, but his message became even more powerful. Number 9. Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard was one of the most important voices in country music, a man whose songs captured the heart of working America. As a pioneer of the Bakersfield sound, he blended grit, honesty, and melody like no one else. With 38 #1 hits and a career that stretched over 5 decades, Haggard's influence reached far beyond country music. But his road to greatness was far from smooth. Merle lived much of what he sang about. In his younger years, especially after his divorce from Bonnie Owens in the 1960s, he slipped into a life of heavy drinking, cocaine, and nonstop partying. His rough lifestyle often bled into his music. Songs like Heaven Was a Drink of Wine told the truth about his addiction and his refusal to let anyone analyze or excuse it. Haggard's struggles with alcohol and substances were real, but they didn't define his ending. He eventually found the strength to quit drinking for good in 1986, after a hangover that finally pushed him to change. From then on, he lived a calmer, more reflective life, though he remained open about his use of marijuana and his belief in its benefits. Even his early prison years shaped him deeply. After being caught brewing homemade beer and spending time near death row, Haggard realized he didn't want to waste his life. That realization fueled his rise and helped him turn pain into poetry. Number 10. Waylon Jennings.
There was electric lights in there. It could have been a refrigerator, but I don't know. That had to be in about 19.
Waylon Jennings helped change the sound and spirit of country music. As one of the original outlaws of the 70s, he broke away from Nashville's polished image and made music that was raw, real, and completely his own. Songs like Good-Hearted Woman and Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys defined a generation. But behind the rebel image was a man fighting a dangerous battle with addiction. Waylon's life on the road was fueled by long nights, endless tours, and heavy substance use. He became addicted to amphetamines in the 1960s and later to cocaine, a habit that grew worse as his fame rose. At his worst, he admitted to spending over $1,500 a day on substances, a lifestyle that nearly destroyed his health and career. In interviews, Jennings was honest about how addiction changed him. He became restless, paranoid, and exhausted, often working through days without sleep. Friends said the substances kept him going, but also kept him from peace. Everything changed in the early 80s when Waylon decided he'd had enough. With help from his wife, Jessie Coulter, he quit cocaine cold turkey and focused on rebuilding his life. Number 11. Tanya Tucker. Tanya Tucker has lived almost her entire life in the spotlight. At just 13, she stunned the country world with her hit Delta Dawn, proving that talent has no age limit. Through the years, she became one of the few child stars who managed to hold her audience into adulthood, turning out hit after hit, What's Your Mama's Name, Lizzie and the Rain Man, Strong Enough to Bend, and later, Two Sparrows in a Hurricane. Her voice was powerful, her presence bold, and her attitude pure outlaw. But that same fire also fueled years of struggle. Tanya's hard-living image wasn't just for show. She drank heavily and used cocaine, especially during her stormy relationship with Glenn Campbell in the early 80s. She later admitted that she was wild, fearless, and living on the edge, convinced she could outdrink and outlast anyone around her. By 1988, her family stepped in. After an emotional intervention, she entered rehab at the Betty Ford Center, where her father helped her rebuild her life and career. For a while, sobriety brought her back to the top, earning new success and respect. In more recent years, however, friends and fans have voiced concern. Despite her achievements, including a Grammy win, her connection to alcohol remains complicated. Yet through every setback, Tanya Tucker remains defiant, determined, and unbreakable, a true country survivor. Number 12. Randy Travis.
You know something? Here's where I know that I've been taken care of.
Randy Travis was one of the voices that brought country music back to its roots. With his rich, soulful tone and songs like Forever and Ever, Amen and Deeper Than the Holler, he became one of the most loved artists of the 80s. Over his career, he recorded more than 20 studio albums and scored 16 #1 hits. But behind his clean-cut image and gospel songs, Randy carried a long and painful struggle with alcohol that nearly destroyed everything he built. His troubles began early. Growing up, Randy was restless and rebellious, arrested multiple times as a teenager for drinking and reckless behavior. Fame seemed to tame him for a while, but old habits followed him into adulthood. By the 2010s, his drinking had once again taken control. The police even found him naked after a car crash, leading to a DWI arrest that made national headlines. Another public intoxication arrest followed soon after. After these incidents, Randy made a life-changing decision. His lawyer announced he had given up alcohol for good, committing to sobriety and treatment. But not long after tragedy struck, in 2013, Randy suffered a massive stroke that left him unable to speak or sing for years. Though the stroke changed his life forever, Randy Travis remains a symbol of faith and resilience, proof that even through silence, the heart of country music can still be heard. Number 13. Hank Williams Jr. Hank Williams Jr. grew up in the shadow of a legend. As the son of Hank Williams I, one of country music's founding icons, the pressure on him was enormous. But Hank Jr. didn't want to simply imitate his father, he wanted to build his own sound. By the 70s and 80s, he had done just that, blending country, rock, and southern swagger into a style all his own. Songs like Family Tradition and A Country Boy Can Survive made him a superstar. Yet behind the fame was a man constantly wrestling with alcohol, pain, and expectation. Hank Jr.'s struggles with drinking began early in his career and often fueled his rowdy outlaw image. He admitted to drinking heavily on and off stage, using alcohol as a way to cope with fame and loneliness. His lyrics often reflected that, proud, rebellious, and raw. In 1975, a near-fatal fall while mountain climbing left him with severe head and facial injuries. The accident changed his life, forcing him to rebuild both his face and his identity. During recovery, his drinking deepened before he eventually began to pull himself back together. In later years, Hank Jr. spoke more openly about his past, his faith, and his mistakes. He remained a powerful figure in country music, living proof that even those born into legend have to fight their own battles to find who they really are. Number 14, Trace Adkins.
The reality of it, but I like the sound of I go back now and I listen.
Trace Adkins built a career on grit, strength, and that unmistakable deep voice that made him one of modern country's most recognizable stars. Since his debut in the mid-1990s with Dreamin' Out Loud, he's delivered hits like Ladies Love Country Boys, This Ain't No Thinkin' Thing, and You're Gonna Miss This. But behind his success was a long, painful struggle with alcohol that nearly cost him everything, and at one point, almost his life. During a heated argument about his drinking, Trace's second wife shot him in the chest. The bullet pierced both his heart and lungs, but somehow he survived. It was a wake-up call, though one that didn't end his drinking for good. Years later, after a family intervention, Trace entered rehab for the first time, admitting he had become someone he no longer recognized. He stayed sober for over a decade, but in 2014, during a country music cruise, he relapsed and got into a public altercation with an impersonator. Embarrassed and heartbroken, he checked back into rehab. 2 years later, he again made headlines for performing while intoxicated, later donating his concert fee to charity as an apology. Today, Trace Adkins has been sober for years. He credits his wife, Victoria Pratt, and his family for helping him find lasting peace. Number 15, Charlie Rich. Charlie Rich was one of the smoothest voices country music ever knew, a singer who could blend country, soul, and jazz with effortless grace. Known as the Silver Fox, he reached the height of his fame in the 1970s with timeless hits like Behind Closed Doors and The Most Beautiful Girl. Those songs not only topped the country charts, but also crossed over into pop, earning him Grammy Awards and worldwide recognition. But behind that warm, polished voice was a man quietly fighting a battle with alcohol that would shadow him for most of his life. Charlie's drinking wasn't constant, but when it took hold, it often made headlines. The most infamous moment came during the 1975 CMA Awards. Visibly drunk, he opened the envelope for Entertainer of the Year, saw John Denver's name, and set it on fire in front of the audience. The shocking act left the industry stunned and effectively ended his run at the top. In the years that followed, his drinking led to more problems. There were performances he couldn't finish, nights where he fell from his piano stool, and growing frustration with fame itself. Charlie Rich was a quiet man, deeply talented, but often uncomfortable with the spotlight. He died in 1995 at the age of 62, remembered both for his brilliance and his struggles, a reminder that even the smoothest voices can hide deep pain. Number 16, Steve Earle.
You know, Justin up until would have never known what a crack pipe looked like if he and Ian hadn't gotten together.
Steve Earle's story is one of grit, talent, and redemption. When his debut album, Guitar Town, was released, it introduced a new kind of country sound, bold, sharp, and honest. The title track shot up the charts, and not long after, Copperhead Road turned him into a cult legend. His songs blended rock and country in a way that spoke to outlaws, dreamers, and drifters alike. But behind the success, Steve Earle was living a much darker story. He started using heroin when he was just 13, long before fame found him. As his career took off, his addiction followed. Through the 80s and early 90s, substances and alcohol began to take over. Arrests, failed marriages, and missed shows piled up. At one point, he disappeared completely from the music scene, consumed by addiction and chaos. In 1994, everything came crashing down when he was sentenced to jail for substance and weapons charges. It was there, behind bars, that Steve finally faced himself. He got clean, went through withdrawal, and came out determined to change. Since then, he stayed sober and rebuilt his life and music with more honesty than ever before. His recovery gave his songs new meaning, turning his pain into purpose. Number 17, Kristofferson. Kristofferson isn't just a country singer, he's a poet, a rebel, and one of the minds that shaped the outlaw country sound of the 1970s. His songs, like Me and Bobby McGee, Sunday Morning Comin' Down, and Help Me Make It Through the Night, spoke to people who lived on the edge, honest, raw, and full of heart. But behind that brilliance was a man quietly fighting his own storm. Chris has said that for years, he was a functioning alcoholic. He drank heavily, often using whiskey to keep the fire in his songs burning, but it came at a price. His first marriage fell apart, and he began to believe he wouldn't live to see 40. In 1976, when he hosted Saturday Night Live, he was so drunk that the cast feared he wouldn't make it through the show. Yet the moment that truly changed him came while filming A Star Is Born. In one emotional scene, his character dies in a drunk driving crash, and for Chris, that moment hit too close to home. It forced him to look at his own life and what drinking had taken from him. Not long after, he gave up alcohol for good. Sobriety, he later said, didn't dull his creativity, it gave it focus. The man who once thought he'd die young went on to build a legacy that proved just how strong redemption can be. Number 18, Tammy Wynette.
I still own the old house that I was born in. And I get my feet right back on the ground.
Tammy Wynette's voice defined heartache. Her songs spoke to millions of women who felt unseen, and her signature hit, Stand By Your Man, became one of the most famous and controversial anthems in country music history. But behind that powerful voice was a woman in constant pain, fighting a battle far away from the stage lights. After a hysterectomy in the 70s, Tammy began suffering from severe and relentless abdominal pain. Doctors couldn't find lasting relief, and she went through more than 30 surgeries in her lifetime. To manage the agony, she was prescribed strong painkillers, pills like Demerol, Valium, and Dilaudid. What began as medical treatment slowly turned into dependence. Her addiction to pain medication wasn't about escape or partying, it was about survival. The medicine that helped her perform also trapped her in a cycle she couldn't break. Even after a stay at the Betty Ford Center in 1986, new surgeries forced her back on the drugs she was trying to leave behind. While her ex-husband, George Jones, fought his demons through alcohol, Tammy's battle was with pain and pills, a quieter, more private kind of suffering. Despite it all, she never stopped performing, never stopped singing. But the years of illness and addiction took their toll. Tammy Wynette passed away in 1988 at just 55, leaving behind songs that still ache with the truth she lived. Number 19, Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw built one of the most successful careers in modern country music, a man whose voice defined an era. With hits like Live Like You Were Dying and Humble and Kind, he earned dozens of #1 songs, packed arenas, and became a symbol of country stardom. But behind that confident stage presence was someone quietly fighting his own battles. McGraw has spoken openly about using alcohol as liquid courage. Early in his career, he turned to drinking to calm his nerves before performing and to hide his natural shyness. But over time, that habit started to take control. The parties got louder, the nights got longer, and eventually, the man who seemed unstoppable began to realize he was losing himself. The turning point came in 2008. His wife, Faith Hill, finally told him what he already knew deep down, that his drinking had gone too far, and if he didn't stop, he could lose everything that mattered. That conversation hit him hard. McGraw decided to quit drinking for good. Since then, he's replaced the bottle with discipline. Fitness became his therapy, and his focus on health and family reshaped his life. Number 20, Ingrid Andress.
It's good to be seen. I've been hiding for like...
Ingrid Andress was one of country music's brightest new voices, known for her honest songwriting and modern sound. With hits like More Hearts Than Mine and Wishful Drinking, she earned both critical praise and commercial success. But behind the rising fame and polished performances, she was quietly struggling. In the summer of 2024, that struggle became public. During the MLB Home Run Derby, Andress performed the national anthem, and viewers immediately noticed something was off. Her performance went viral for all the wrong reasons. The next day, she took to social media and didn't try to hide it. "I'm not gonna lie," she wrote. "I was drunk last night." She apologized and admitted she had lost control of her drinking. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Andress revealed that alcohol had become a way to numb her stress from a painful breakup, the loss of her manager, and the pressure of constant touring. The drinking that started as a way to cope soon took over, and she decided to enter treatment. Her confession sparked both criticism and empathy, but it also showed courage. Instead of hiding, she chose to face her problems publicly.